This is the College Football Connection podcast with Alvin Reed, Bradford Bruns, and Marty Jenkins on 101 ESPN.
The Lombardi Trophy has been awarded. The national championship occurred weeks ago, so to where does the pigskin-obsessed enthusiast turn at the moment? Well, it's all about that combine-related chatter, of course. Greetings, everybody. Bradford Bruns riding with you once more, live from our studio in Creve Coeur. And whether you want to categorize this as a College Football Connection overtime special or a loose off-season presentation per se, make no mistake about it, it is the brand new installment of the CFC as we close in on the end of February. So much ground to cover on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel, plus 101ESPN.com. My guys, Marty and Alvin, they'll be along too at various points of the off-season of sorts, definitely in advance of spring camps in preparation for those fall sessions as we eagerly await another banner college football campaign to come. However, in the here and now, as we've intimated, so much territory and terrain to cover across campuses nationwide, not only at the University of Missouri-Columbia, even though depending on the stock that you put into that ever dangerous slippery slope that is the rumor mill, maybe a coaching maneuver could be afoot in Como. We'll touch upon it, albeit briefly and definitely in a heavy manner, an emphatic way. We are going to chronicle the upcoming NFL Scouting Combine at the tail end of February, mere weeks away in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Indianapolis Colts. And hey, if we are so fortunate, there is a strong likelihood that we actually could be providing some content for the 101 ESPN YouTube channel on site, as well as the mothership and, of course, our friends at 101 ESPN. Without any further ado, though, let's put a bow on 2024, really, and namely on that national championship tilt. The Ohio State University, at the end of the evening, at the end of the inaugural edition of the expanded 12-team version of the CFP, the Buckeyes were able to prevail in a major way against another blue blood in the form of the vaunted Fighting Irish Marcus Freeman's proud squad from South Bend. The opening drive in the game, it didn't exactly set the scene for what was to follow as Leonard orchestrated an all-time opening drive, and you wondered for a while, is this going to be uber competitive? Couple of problems as the first half wore on, as you got into the waning stages of the third quarter and definitely into that fourth stanza. That blend of sheer athleticism, physicality, and precision execution from the boys in Columbus, it ultimately resulted in the national championship, the first natty for the head coach Ryan Day, and boy, after the fact, he was rewarded handsomely. Now the second most well-compensated coach in all of college football. Who would have thought we'd be saying that just a few short weeks ago post-Michigan? But to nobody's surprise, OSU opening now in 2025, according to various odds makers, as the prohibitive favorite to win it all over again. Although, you know, when you get to that mountaintop, when you ascend that hill and you reach that rarefied sense of the air, rival programs across the country and in the professional ranks are going to be quick to come calling and to potentially poach some of the top lieutenants on your coaching staff. That is precisely what happened today. Mere days after the national championship, after the pomp and circumstance, he first had to figure out how to replace the OC, the esteemed Chip Kelly, who was able to just entrust Will Howard with a ton of responsibility and embolden him down the stretch, especially after that highly questionable game against the Wolverines. He opts to return to the National Football League. Pete Carroll woos him to join the Las Vegas Raiders, so Day had a decision to make. And he ultimately decided to stay in-house and promote from within. Somebody who's been on the staff, who has shepherded the progress of so many premier playmakers at wide receiver in that room. Brian Hartline, he's been in that role since 2018, but now he's the new offensive coordinator. Now, last year he was co-coordinator with Chip Kelly. He didn't call the plays. Make of that what you will. Here's what I know. Following 2023, when Ryan Day had He was in charge of the play calling there in Columbus. He relinquished the reins. He became more of that CEO type. He brought Kelly in from outside of the building. Now, maybe at that point in time, Hartline wasn't completely ready. Is he prepared at this juncture after being able to coach up the likes of a Marvin Harrison Jr., another likely first-round pick in this April's draft in Egbuka, and certainly Jeremiah Smith, who knows where he's going to land in a couple of years? He's never done the job at this level in D1. Will there be an adjustment period? That remains to be seen. You can also ask the same question now of the defensive side of the football, because just a couple of days ago, we learned during BK and Ferrario, I was on air with the guys, that Matt Patricia, yes, that Matt Patricia from the Belichick coaching tree in New England, he's the new defensive coordinator. And you could actually contend that maybe the defensive side for OSU, perhaps more of a question mark a few months from now, because Patricia, he hasn't been in the college game. It was a totally different world in the early 2000s, and he was a mere grad assistant, not the DC at that time. And who's the guy you're replacing? Oh, yeah, that would be Jim Knowles, universally recognized as one of the best in the business, as he decided to jump ship from OSU to arch rival Penn State. That November, the first clash, just a bit of an aside here, between Penn State and OSU. Can you imagine the stakes and the atmosphere there? That's down the road. But Knowles now, it helps. Yes, you're a Pennsylvania kid, but also it helps immensely when you're the first DC or OC in the game to receive more than $3 million annually in base salary. Ryan Day and the Buckeyes with a fair share of question marks, but yes, at the end of the day, you're still talking about, no pun intended, the number one team in all likelihood in the entire land going into 2025. Now, speaking of some personnel switches on the coaching end of things as we go along here on the College Football Connection on a Sunday later in February, Missouri, on the defensive side now, appears to have it locked in as far as Corey Batoon moving into year number 2. Blake Baker had left the previous season after the previous campaign, yes, for LSU. But now, offensively speaking, are you worried just a little bit out there, Tiger fans? And I say that because earlier in the week, another professional tidbit, you know that following the Eagles' mammoth win over Kansas City in Super Bowl 59, the OC there, Kellen Moore, gets the promotion, the head gig in New Orleans. Now, whether you want to classify that as an enviable job or not, that is open to interpretation. But Kirby Moore, heading into another would-be season in Columbia, trying to embolden the likes of Bo Prabula, a new cast of characters on the offensive side of the football. Rumors have been flying as to whether Kirby and Kellen are going to get together in the Big Easy. Now, there isn't a lot of substance out there. Right now, it is a lot of conjecture, and it should be weighed and evaluated accordingly. But rest assured, we are going to be monitoring everything along those lines, that storyline, in the weeks to come. Speaking of the weeks to come, though, we did reference off of the top, Scouting Combine could be on the horizon for us. We know of the 4 different Missouri Tigers now who have been invited to the festivities there at Lucas Oil. There was one surprise omission. I'll get to him in a second, but your usual suspects, the stalwarts, right? Brady Cook, Theo Weiss Jr., Armand Membu, and Luther Burden III. A couple of these guys participated recently in the East-West Shrine game as well. Curious, though, by the omission there, Johnny Walker Jr., somebody who was recognized as one of the foremost performers on the defensive side in that exhibition, yes. But this is somebody, if you put on the tape, if you play it, if you watch the reps from the better part of 4 seasons at Memorial Stadium, I'm just surprised that Johnny Walker Jr. is not going to be present. The ultimate gamer and locker room presence. I'm not stating that he's going to be a Darius Robinson right off of the bat when Robinson was plugged into the Cardinals lineup this past season post-injury. But he could grow into that role as an edge rusher, and I think that he would have been tailor-made to show out as far as drills were concerned at that particular venue at Lucas Oil. Needless to say, though, it is not going to be Walker. It is going to be Cook looking to improve his prospects of maybe being a day 3 pick in the NFL draft in Green Bay himself. Luther Burden expected to test out well, no doubt about it. Armand Membu on the right side of the offensive line. Is he going to play tackle in the NFL? That does appear to be a distinct possibility. And Theo Weiss, who was injured in the Tigers' bowl win just a couple of months ago, did not get to partake in the East-West Shrine game due to still nursing that hand injury. If he is able to get the reps there, as well as at the Mizzou Pro Day, which has yet to be determined, a date for that in all likelihood coming in March, that would definitely behoove him and behoove the graduate seniors' prospects of being able to maybe work his way into the Day 2 proceedings from Lambeau Field in a short time. Well, it's been fun getting back to spending some time with you, St. Louis, here on the College Football Connection, 101 ESPN, the YouTube channel, plus 101ESPN.com. We are going to drop some installments, some more episodes in the days leading up to the Combine. Stay tuned because we are bullish on our chances of being able to make it out there. Fun road trip, reporting on not only all of the Tiger-centric goings-on there at Lucas Oil, but if you're talking about getting an opportunity to weigh in and check in with all of the skill players and also the big heavies, right, on both sides of the line. Can't wait, maybe even checking in with a GM or two and head coaches. There is movement, there is fluctuation all across this great sport of football, even though we have surpassed and moved beyond Super Bowl 59. That was a clunker, but we have tons of good stuff on the way. So make sure you are always locked to 101 ESPN, our YouTube channel, and 101ESPN.com. For now, Bradford Bruns bidding you adieu. Have a tremendous remainder of the weekend, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the College Football Connection podcast on 101 ESPN.